Hi everyone, welcome back. Today, as in my last video, I promised to show you something a little fun that I figured out. Probably you all are probably all way more educated about this than I am and know it could be done and isn't anything special for you. But for me, it was fun to figure out by accident, and I thought I'd share it for anyone who may not know or, may want to hear it. Anyway, pull up a project. This is all about, stitching together and having fun. So I'm going to zoom in a little. That's a lot, but okay. So I had stitched this area the last time on camera, this area here, and I didn't like it. The stitches were flat, they were weird looking, they were long, they were short, didn't like it. So I started taking my really sharp scissors, pointy, very pointy scissors there, and I was snipping the threads, and as I snipped them, they got really fuzzy. So I hope you can see this. I'm going to lift it up so I can sort of show you. I don't know if that's working or not. They're fuzzy. Can you see that? They're standing up. They became fuzzy. And so I'm going to zoom you back out now. And so I started playing. And what I did was, if I was not careful, they would come out because I just stab stitched. I was doing the line, then I was coming in the back, and I was going back in. So what I did was these here, these threads here, I glued the back of them. So now it's stiff, but the threads aren't coming out. And I did these here. These were the first ones. So I got to make sure I'm pointing in the right direction. These are the first ones, and I glued the back of them. Then I did this row here, which was over here, and I glued them, but I don't like the stiffness. Don't like it. So then I thought, well, Martha, there is a method that is already proven to work, and it's turkey work. So with turkey work, you come up, you leave a little loop, doesn't have to be a big loop, and you go back down, and then you take a anchor stitch. So you come up and you go down like 1 or 2 threads away from where that loop was, right? From your anchor stitch, okay? So you have a loop and then you have an anchor stitch. Then you have a loop and an anchor stitch. Well, with this, I'm just doing flat stitches. So here, these are flat stitches, okay? But in between each flat stitch, I did an extra stitch where I just literally, I come up like this, and then I go down. I'm going to get another needle. I go down like two threads over and just anchor it. Just make sure you don't go through the same hole because your thread will just come back out and it won't hold that previous stitch. The longer you make your threads, the taller the threads will stand, like here. I was experimenting. These are short threads, stitches, and these are longer stitches. I don't know if it really shows, but again, try and turn them sideways and stay under the light. Light. Light is my nemesis. So, okay, so I'm going to pull out just a little bit more because my hands are going to look really big in here. So I stitched here. I stitched here with light gray. There's a couple stitches there. And then this is pink because like this part of the bunny here, the inside of the ear is pink. And see, I did this side as well. That's the outside of the ear. That's the inside of the ear. Now I have also outlined part of the bunny. I have to do up here a little bit and up here a little bit, but it'll come. The only thing I have to be really careful of is not to cut the outline stitches. I don't want those to be fuzzy, I don't think, because I'm not sure it'll count as an outline. And I have a feeling if I don't outline it, like I did the tail here, and I would like to do it better. That stitch didn't get clipped. And as soon as I clip these stitches, now I'm using between 2 and 3 strands of the 6-strand DMC floss. So you could use all 6 strands, and I'm sure it would come up really thick and fluffy. And I might go back in here and stitch it. If you don't have scissors like this, the other thing I've been using, I'm looking on my desk for it and I don't see it. Where did it go? Here they are cuticle scissors. And cuticle scissors have a really, really fine, sharp point. These are a little blunt because I've used them for other things. When I was doing journals, paper journals, I was cutting paper, fussy cutting with it. But we're going to give this a shot. Now, I want to get under the long threads. I do not want to cut the anchoring threads, so I'm not digging in real deep. I am just, I need a magnifying glass. I finally called the eye doctor. Thank you, Corinne, for mentioning your beautiful glasses and showing us and mentioning eye doctor. And it triggered me to go ahead and call my eye doctor. And by the way, I got so into this right from the get-go, I forgot to tell you, this is my spring Stitch the Season project that I'm doing along with Corinne over at To Be Loved Treasures by Corinne. And hi, Corinne. And she's not going to be able to watch this. She's going to be too busy. She's on her way to Susanna's, and she's going to be spending a lot of time with Susanna and doing a workshop that Susanna's got going on over there. And now I'm going to have to pick this up because I really can't distinguish at this point in time. I don't want to do the little anchoring threads because I don't want my threads to come out. This is not going to be worn. This is going to hang on the wall, so I'm not too nervous about it. And I can add more thread to it, which I think there are parts I'm going to need to do. I'm still experimenting. But this is turkey work. Basically, it's turkey work. The only difference is, I skipped a whole spot right there. The only difference is I'm not leaving loops. I'm just doing flat stitches like right here. Those are just flat stitches. And I really apologize for the light. Today is a very cloudy day. I have a hard time if the LED lights are shining right in my eyes, which they are, but I'll try and keep going. If I have daylight coming in the windows, it's usually a lot better. So yeah, I'm still experimenting with this, and I am, oops, I don't want to get the dark gray threads if I can help it. Go from this angle. See, these get right under those threads without digging into the, I don't have to, you know, dig into the fabric. I can be way precise with it. So I have a pair of embroidery scissors, but they're really not good at all. I don't have a good quality pair of embroidery scissors. And I need to find a pair, but I just don't have a pair. So cuticle scissors it is. And if you don't want to spend money on embroidery scissors, cuticle scissors work a treat, as they say. Now, I have to make sure I don't get the... I tried to make the anchoring stitches so small that I wouldn't be able to get scissors, the point of any scissors underneath them. So I'm hoping, I'm hoping I did a good job with that, and that I am avoiding. And it's kind of fun to snip the threads and see it come to life. Just get all furry and fuzzy as soon as you snip them. Now I know it doesn't look like it here, but it is happening. It's happening. And if it doesn't, you just rub your scissors along it. and it makes it fuzzy. Now see, those stitches were a little longer than I'd been doing, and I don't think it's working for the ear, but that being said, you can always snip them down too. I have a couple right here. See, now I think I need to add some stitches in here because this is not turning out quite as well as I wanted it to. But for me, that's a little bit long. So those stitches were too long for the ear. So on the other ear, I'm going to make the stitches shorter, but you can trim the height away. If you want to take some of the height off, you just trim it away. And there you have the fuzzy part of the inside of the ear. Now, I do have more to do. Like I need to stitch some more in here because it didn't come out thick enough. And some more in here. But it's kind of fun to see the fuzzy bunny. There. And see, the more you clip, the more you see the stitches you didn't clip, or that might be laying down flat even though you snipped them and they just need to be fuzzed up. But I thought it was so cute. I mean, look at the top of the bunny's head. Isn't that cute? I don't know. I don't know if it's showing up on camera like that. So anyway, I'll show you. We will do the pink part of the other ear. And again, let's see. Can't remember if I used 1 strand or 2. This is 3 strands. I am going to, and then I did his nose, her nose. It's not a him, it's a her. I did her nose, and I'm not going to make the nose fluffy because the bunny nose isn't fluffy. I want it to stand out kind of on its own. And then I'm going to do the whiskers and not fluff those up. So those will come after. And what I'll do is I'll take the fabric that I got this bunny from, and I will look at the artwork on the other piece of fabric, the same bunny, and I will be able to tell where things go. Now, I did also do the eyes. I did the eyes in black thread, and I need to put a white dot in each one because there is a white dot in them on the fabric. So I take a stitch. I'm not making these stitches too long. Trying to find my thread underneath so I can tug it, make sure I got my knot. I really messed up with some of the thread. I'll tell you about that in a minute. And then I'm going to go up here, sort of like beyond that stitch, and I'm going out and I'm going in right next to it. So I really can't, like you can't even see that stitch. And that's so that I don't snip the anchoring thread. And now when I trim, oops, when I trim this larger strand of thread here, it's not going to come out from the fabric because there's an anchoring stitch in there. And I wouldn't necessarily do this on a wearable. Martha. How long did that take me to unthread? 2 minutes? Not even that. I just started stitching. Anchor, 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 anchor. And I have to keep telling myself anchor. And if I think, like if I get lost in my thoughts while I'm stitching, and I think Did I anchor that stitch? I make an anchor stitch, like just to be on the safe side. And then I'm going over here, and I try to put the anchor stitches like this anchor stitch. I'm just going to put it here, and then I'm going to cover it up with a longer stitch. So we'll see how long it takes me to do this. Hopefully not too long. I hope you pulled up a project. I warned you at the beginning, pull up a project. So how's everybody doing? Are you doing well? That anchor stitch was a little longer than I like it, so I'm going to go right over it. Oops. And then I'm coming over here. I'm going to be way more careful that my stitch, my anchor stitch, is very tiny, so I cannot snip it. We are all well here in this world. It's been in the low to mid 60s, but we only had one nice weather day, which was the day I did my last video. It was sunny, it was beautiful. I was a happy Martha. And then the next day it got cloudy, and it rained in the evening. And today it's really, really, really windy. Like uber windy. Whoops. That's two. Okay. Bring the needle towards the thread, not the other way around. Always works that way. Uh-oh. No puckering. We don't want puckering. Okay, let's see. I think that was a... Goodness gracious. I think that was a regular stitch, so I'm going to take an anchor stitch under here. It is a little tedious. If you don't like tedious stitching, this might not work for you. Might not be a stitch that you want to necessarily do. And if I used more strands, but I don't want to use more strands now because it wouldn't match the other ear. Now I can try more strands on another part of the body and see if the body comes out fluffier. I should have used more strands on the tail because the tail really isn't standing out enough. So the tail may get redone, which is fine. It's all experimental for me at this point, and it's something fun and new. And what better little project to do this experiment on than a bunny? I mean, can you get any fuzzier than a bunny? Not by much, that's for sure. And I am going over some spots because I do want it to be thick enough. I don't feel like the other ear came out that great, but again, experimental. And I am doing parts of this off camera because some of it would just be so, I mean, slow stitch is not riveting watching anyway, let's face it, as we all know. But if you can pull up a project and, you know, stitch along and look up once in a while, that's what I do with everybody. I just like listening to the chitter chatter. So Corinne brought up a TV show that she was watching and she recommended. It's called Muster Dogs, M-U-S-T-E-R, and it's an Australian show, and I found it on Netflix. Season 1 is on Netflix. So Tony and I have started watching it, really enjoying it. You get to see the Australian countryside. You get to see how they, what they call muster over here in the States. I think we call it wrangling. Their cattle, sheep, whatever the livestock is that's being gathered by the farmers, okay, this is not good. I have to pull this back out. I have a knot. There. The thread is twisting, so I'm just wetting my finger and I'm pulling the threads out to sort of help them untwist. Okay, we shall try that again. Now, I don't remember if I did a anchoring knot, so I mean an anchoring stitch. So I'm just doing an anchoring stitch because now I don't remember where I left off. And I don't want my threads to come busting out of there, so. Anchor. So back to Muster Dogs. We're really enjoying it. And one of the women on the show has a horse. And Corinne brought up our horse, Blue. And Blue is, see what I mean? I really messed up with some of my thread back here. I don't know what I did wrong. Oh, it's pouring rain out. But I don't know. I won't even get into that. Back to Muster Dogs. Okay, Martha, finish the stupid story. Gosh. Squirrel. So, Blue is a Tennessee walking horse. Now, if you know anything about Tennessee walking horses, there's a big thing with horses that have been what they call sored, S-O-R-E-D, and our horses did not fall into that category. That's for show horses, big lick. Don't research it because your heart will break. I actually saw some in person at a barn in Tennessee, and it was the saddest thing. I tell you, it was awful. My gosh, what the heck is going on in my world back here? I don't know why this thread is just hanging there. I'm going to well, for one thing, I think when I started it, I just didn't pull the knot all the way through to the end. Sloppy. And I am going to try to secure this. So bear with me, please. And anyway, oh golly gee. So Corinne brought up our horse, and he is, we don't ride him. He's got some eyesight issues, and we had some health issues, and we just never got him fully trained. And he was more or less a companion horse for our mare, who we no longer have. She has gone on to bigger and better things out in the sky. And we do believe she was mistreated before we got her. She was 9 years old when we got her. But Blue was a 3-year-old. And he's just been a big goofball from the day we got him. He is sweet. He is, I missed a whole part of the pink. I'll go back and do that. I'm going to do an Anchor because I don't remember where I left off. Always Anchor. He is like, Blue is very much like a, I'd say somewhere between a Labrador Retriever but he doesn't retrieve. And the only thing he retrieves is more hay and grass for himself to eat. And so somewhere between a Lab and a Golden Retriever. He's a really sweet, affectionate horse. He's very, very gentle. He's the gentlest horse. He's never, ever, ever tried to bite anybody. I've been bitten by a couple of horses that we owned. He's never tried to kick anybody. The worst thing he's ever done is try to walk away if you're trying to do something and he doesn't want you to. He had some eye issues a couple of years ago, and his eye had to be treated like 3 times a day. And he always just came to the person who was treating him, the barn he's at. The people were helping us out by taking care of him and treating his eye. And he always just walked up to him, even though he hated it. He walked up to them and they put the ointment in his eye, and he'd walk away and go eat. He'd go eat grass. He'd go eat hay. Yeah. So he's just like, he's very unusual for a horse. I've known a lot of horses, and this little guy is just special. He's just a very amazing, special horse. Now, that's not to say that he hasn't had some horse behaviors in the past that, could have been better. But, like, even when I was trying to train him, I became very, very timid and unsure on any horse, because I'd been hurt several times. And he just wouldn't move. Like, he'd know I was on him and he wouldn't want to move. Like, he's like, no, you're scared. I'm not going anywhere. You don't need to be on me. You don't need to ride. And eventually I did give up riding. And like I said, when we couldn't ride our mare anymore, we just didn't ride Blue, because the mare we were using to help teach Blue. And it became impossible to ride her because of physical issues with her. So anyway, yeah. So he is an amazing horse. Well, when we show up at the barn, I don't go with Tony all the time. If it's really cold, I don't go. And if it's really hot, like over 80, I can't go, because it makes my heart beat too fast to be out in the heat. And for that reason, I can't go in hot tubs or take really, really hot showers or stuff like that. But anyway, okay, I think that's good. I might put one more in right here where this little pink spot is and anchor it. I do a stitch, and anchor. Okay. I'm going to do one more anchor just to be sure, because I sort of did that in a weird spot. Right in the middle of a thread I'm going to cut. So that made no sense at all. Okay. So Tony went out last week, and he goes out once a week. And he makes sure that Blue looks okay, make sure he doesn't have any sores on his body, make sure he's not walking with a limp or anything, make sure he hasn't lost any weight. He brushes him out, and gets him all pretty again, and yeah, gives him treats, and Blue just soaks it up. He just stands there and like falls asleep while Tony's brushing him and everything. Well, Tony drove up in the car. I'm getting goosebumps. Tony drove up in the car, and he he parked the car, and he, sorry, I'm just remembering him telling me this. He parked the car, and he opened the back door, and he got his heavy jacket out, because it's a 45-minute ride out there, so he doesn't wear his heavy jacket in the car. He got his heavy jacket out, and he closed the door, and he turned around, and Blue was standing right behind him. Just standing behind him, putting his nose on him. So he never heard him walk up behind him. He didn't. Tony has terrible peripheral vision. Didn't see him coming. He was concentrating on, you know, what he had to get out of the car. He had to get the grooming box out of the car. He got his jacket out, put his hat on, and he went to change his shoes. He pulled his shoes out, and he turned around, and Blue was standing right there behind him. I skipped a whole spot right there. How did I do that? You see how it fluffs up as soon as I cut it? It's like magic. It's so much fun. And yeah, so Tony's telling me this, and he's just smiling because he loves it when Blue responds to him like that. So again, big hole in there. So the smaller the stitches you do, the better off, but you got to be able to get your scissors through them, and you don't want them as small as your anchoring stitches, because then, you know, then you're cutting the anchors, and you don't want to cut the anchors. And I'm trying not to cut this gray outline stitching here. Could I have waited for that? Yes, but when this is all fuzzy, then I can't tell where the outline stitches go. So I needed to do them. So I thought that story was really cute. And Blue is doing well. He's overweight. But he doesn't get, well, he gets grain now. He never got grain in the past. The only thing we ever fed him in the past was a supplement, because our land, just like all farmland and everything now, the grass quality wasn't that great on it. And the hay quality we were buying, even though we got the best hay we could find, wasn't that great either, because farmland nowadays in the US is just overworked and over chemicalized, and yeah. So there it is. Got one more right there. Got a couple right there. There. So that's how that comes out. Now, you might want to get a piece of fabric and just play around with it and see what technique of it works best for you. You can trim it down. So there's the ears. Now these little bald spots here, I'll fill those in with more stitches and do that all the way through the bunny. I'm going to do the whole body. I'll do the face, and I have these silvers. I have this silver, and I have this silver, which they seem very close, but one is a little bit lighter than the other. They're different shades. I don't know if you can tell the difference there. And then I have this, and I was thinking of mixing some threads in, like where it gets darker here. I probably have more shades of silver too that I could use. But you definitely have to use a 6-strand thread. Now, how many strands you use would be up to you. I think, like I said, I might do the tail again, because the tail sort of runs right into the ear. So I may trim that down, stitch over it, and then try again and see if it sort of, and I might do it in white, because, you know, bunnies have white, right? White tails, cottontails. Our bunnies do over here. All right, so the other thing I wanted to do was, I'm taking out some of my hand-dyed threads that I made. Well, I only pulled out 2, it seems. So I'm going to pull those out. I have some other threads here as well. And let me tell you what I've been doing. I spent yesterday probably over an hour with, let me find the box. I cut out some more. I found this fabric. And I'm thinking of putting that on there. So again, I'm going to ask you for your opinion, yes or no. Put that on there. I have this one. This could go over here. This could go over here. I even have another piece, but I think that's too much. Move it down so you can see it all. I think that's too many. I could put that there and that over there, or I could put them up here somewhere. Now, we have to remember this is going to be folded down up here. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to make it so you can see everything. So the top, it has to be folded down. This is going to be folded under, and that has to be folded down some, so I can put my dowel rod through there to hang it. And these could either go down here or up here further, sort of in the sky, but I still want to put the lacy bits on there. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm so confused as to what to do with this piece. I don't know why I'm struggling with this one so much, but you know, I mean, I still have, where are they? Where are the other pieces I'm supposed to be putting on here? Goodness gracious. Now I've lost them all. Oh, they're over here. That's why they're not in the box. But I still have all of these little pieces that I want, and I still wanted to stick with the lace flowers, you know. Let's see. You know, I love this lace rose, and I really want to do that. So I could put that there and put these around it like that. So I could put, you know, I could sort of do that. Have this in the center. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep like that. I'm just going to keep working at this, and I'm going to focus on the bottom, and then I'm going to add as I go up, because I'm very confused as to what I want to do as far as all of this stuff. It just keeps haunting me that I feel like there's not enough on it, and what is on it isn't good enough or doesn't fit the assignment. So yeah, I'm just going to continue to work on the bottom part. And so what I want to do next is, now see, I had chills a few minutes ago. I had chills. Now I'm warm. I'm like overheating. So oh God, being of a certain age is not any fun, especially when you have missing parts to your body and menopause and lack of estrogen. Lots of fun. Not. Bigger needle. Bigger thread, bigger needle. Martha, you know the rules. Okay. So this is, I hand dyed these threads, and I used RIT dye to dye these. Very pastel colors. RIT dye is a fabric dye, but their colors are not deep and rich like some others. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I'm going to add a stem later. I'm not worried about the stem right now. I'm going to do a bunch of little knots and just do an unrealistic flower, but I'm going to fill in some of this space with flowers. So yeah, that's my plan for some of the little spaces in between. And I just want more hand stitching in the background. And that's what I'm going to do. So yeah. So if you have a chance, if you like dogs, if you like to learn about other countries, if you like to learn about dog training, if you like to learn about you know, just other stuff in general, it's kind of fun to watch a show like that. Now we watched, and I can't remember the name of the series now. It was a show that took place in Australia about a female-run farm, and I learned all about, you know, they called them drovers, and I learned a bunch of different stuff about Australia over there. And of course, you know, there are those of you that live in Australia that I love to watch. So like Corinne and Christine. So I'm always interested in animals, horses, dogs, other stuff. And it's fun to use a hand-dyed thread. If you want to hand dye your own thread, you can use RIT dye. It's very, very easy. And you can also find lots of stuff on YouTube. If you're in the States, a good supply chain for it is not for RIT, but for other fabric dyes, is Dharma, D-H-A-R-M-A Trading Company. If you just Google that, they have all kinds of stuff. This fabric is hand dyed. I did this at the class last year, which, by the way, I have backed out of the class this year. I did sign up for it. It was supposed to be, I was supposed to go in April, but I have decided against it because I have something else going on in April. So I have decided against going to the dye class this year. I told Tony for the $150 class fee, I could buy a lot of fabric dyes. So I really didn't see the sense in going again when I went just last year. And there's always next year. So yeah, I'm not going this year. I can do a lot of fabric. I have a lot of hand-dyed fabrics that I have not used yet. That turned out to be a pretty little flower, and it was unplanned that way, but when the thread started changing color, that's what I decided to do. So I'm going to do another down here. And you can go to Dharma Trading, or there are other places in the States. I think Blick, B-L-I-C-K Art, is an online store you can buy stuff like that from. Cool Kooky Creatures. Tori over at Cool K, it's all spelled with K's, Cool Kooky Creatures. She did 2 dye experiments, one with thread and one with fabric, and she dyed them with Jacquard Dynaflow, and you can get small bottles of that. You can get a little kit. Dharma does sell those, although they're out of stock right now. This is not sponsored. Dharma doesn't give me anything. Trust me, I've just bought products from them before when I was doing wool dyeing. And you cannot dye, you have to use a certain type of dyes on cotton and silk that you cannot use on wool. So you have to have different dyes for wool. Animal animal fibers dye differently than plant fibers. Now, silk is an animal fiber, but silk seems to be able to take either types of dye. So it's interesting that way. But anyway, so I was going to say something else. So Tori over at Cool Kooky Creatures, she did 2 dye videos. And Christine over at Create and Craft with Christine. Sorry, Christine. My brain's going a million miles an hour right now. She dyed some threads with Inktense blocks. Not pencils, but the blocks you can get for Inktense. Inktense is out of my price range, so RIT dyes can dye cotton, and your embroidery thread, you can buy white or natural colored embroidery thread on balls. Let's see. Do I have a ball here? Yeah. Like this. You can buy 5, 8, or 12. This is an 8. You can buy this, you wind it off, and you dye it with the dyes. There are several ways to do it. I think I did a video back last year, 2023, I think, on how I did these. Maybe not. I thought I did. I could do another one if you wanted. All right, I'm going to tie this one off. And I am going to use this color because it's got a little bit of purple in that one. You can get just primary colors. You can get red, blue, and yellow, and you can mix them. However, I did find with the RIT dyes that did not work so well. And or you can buy all separate colors. RIT is a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Limited in their color range. There's several places you can buy them. Hobby Lobby carries them. I think Hobby Lobby was the least expensive. And then Walmart, grocery stores sometimes carry them if you're here in the States. But the colors are very pastel, very soft. And I'm just going to start down here. Wow, I made that I did that the wrong way. I get to yammering, as Corinne says. And then there are professional dyes, what they call professional dyes. And Dharma Trading has those. Those are Procyon or Procyon, Procyon. I don't know how to say it, and I've heard it said both ways, Procyon. And I guess I'll go with that. The purple isn't going to show up right away, but that's okay. And you do have to take a little more care with those. Wear gloves. You're supposed to wear a mask. It's safe once you've mixed the dry powder with water. And it's, once you've done that, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. But you should wear gloves. And then to heat set them, all you have to do is iron them. You can let them dry and iron them. Just lay them out, let them dry, iron them, and it all works out. And you get pretty threads of your own. And you can make the color changes go as fast as you want, you know, short color changes, long color changes, just by how you lay your thread out. So it's a fun process. It's fun to see stuff that you make and then use. That's the most fun part, to use the stuff you make. You can use the 6-strand threads. You can use the balls of thread that you can get in different sizes. And yeah, so give it a whirl. There are many people in our stitching world and otherwise that tell how to do it. You can stick them in a jar. You can stick them in a little... You don't need a lot of anything professional. You need some measuring tools. You need to buy soda ash, which basically you can get online when you buy the dies, or you can find it in store. And Dharma Trading has instructions, written instructions, and I think they have some videos as well. So it's a good resource, even if you buy your dies somewhere else. Or you can look it up on YouTube, because we all know YouTube University. Well, that got messed up, but that's okay. I'm not gonna cry over that. Looks like a flower to me. My knots are way better if you have a hoop stand to do it with. That one's messed up too. But I like how all the purple ones are messing up together. So it's okay. It's all right. It really is. See, there's a little bit of lilac right there, so I'm trying to bring that out by putting these right next to that. And then it's going to change color again, so this will just look like a mix of flowers mixed in together, wildflowers. So I am probably going to close this out and keep stitching. We are going to have pizza tonight for dinner. So I have to make my pizza dough and I have to make my sauce. And that's going to take me a while. I will make my pizza dough and let it rise, and then I will start my sauce and let that simmer for a little bit. And by the time I'm done making the sauce, the pizza dough will be ready to roll out. It's hard to make pizza when you're a vegan. The vegan cheese I've used in the past really did not come out very well on the pizza. It got really watery, so I'm not sure what to do about that. I need to experiment some with ways to make vegan cheese. There's so many different ways. A lot of them use cashews. I don't eat tofu, so I can't do it with tofu. Yeah. But there are other ways. So I'm just going to finish off this thread, and then I will say goodbye. But I appreciate you joining me. If you get to watch that show, and you get Netflix, it's called Muster Dogs, or Corinne has a link. I commented on her video where she was talking about it, and under a response to me, she sent a link for the channel she watches it on in Australia, and the link worked for me. So you could go find that, or if you're really interested, I guess I could go find it and relink it. But it's a good show. We like it. We used to have a little farm, so when we took care of the horses ourselves, we had the horses and the dogs. We didn't get anything else, which was probably a good idea. Okay, I'm just going to tie this off. I think that's it. I used up that little space there. And that felt good to do some actual just decorative stitching. And I think what's going to happen is I'm probably going to do that throughout the piece. So that I'm filling in little spaces with it. So I hope you like that. And I'm going to zoom in on the bunny again. So there she is. So I hope you like that. I hope you play with this method of making a fuzzy surface. It's really fun. No loops involved, but you do have to do those anchor stitches because you don't want them to all pull out. But yeah, it was fun. Thanks for being here. And thanks for hanging out with me. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Happy crafting. Be kind to each other and to yourself. Bye.